The King's Avatar, Chapter 1297 Mofan's Characteristics. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1297, Mofan's Characteristics. Translator, Gnome Yummy. Editor, Gnome Yummy. Deception hadn't left. After entering the gully, he had hid there and used an underground tunneling technique. Sun Zhang's view was focused on the two turns at the ends of the gully. He had been trying to figure out which way to go and hadn't thought to think of what was under his feet. By the time Deception's movements were large and close enough to be sensed, it was too late to react. The ninjutsu struck one autumn leaf under his chin harshly, throwing him into the air. Mofan, Deception, was the first to land a hit. Annihilate, Flame Cut, Neckbind Technique, Ninja Arts, Flickering Charge. 4 skills landed on one autumn leaf in flawless succession. Even if it was Sun Shang, he was helpless against it. Beautiful, Fang Rui yelled from Happy's player bench. Talented at timing, Mofan had a very solid grasp of landing combos. However, even if the system judged it as a combo, that didn't mean it was unbreakable. From a certain perspective, false combos were the real unbreakable combo. However, a consistent use of this sort of comboing, a characteristic of Yi Shu's unspecialized, was extremely hard to master without experience. In this area, Mofan's talent wasn't outstanding. However, for a system-determined combo, especially a combo of 5 or fewer skills, Mofan had such outstanding mastery that even Yi Shu looked on with awe. This came from the habits he had developed in-game. When scrap-picking, you weren't meant to entangle with targets, so he would always find a good opportunity to unleash a barrage of attacks, take what he needed and leave in the shortest time possible. This barrage had a max of 5 skills. More, and Mofan would judge it as an inappropriate time to strike. After all this time, Mofan had developed a habit of using this monotonous battle style. His habits meant that anything coming after his barrage was lacking in comparison. After joining Happy and undergoing professional training, he was finally beginning to change. At first, Yi Shu had hoped he would be able to completely change this style of fighting in short bursts. But he soon began to realize that this habit of Mofan's wasn't just a thing of mechanics but also of his spirit. Focus. Mofan's focus would also fluctuate with this rhythm. When he unleashed his barrage, his focus would peak. His mechanics would be precise, efficient, comparable to a god. However, after this short burst, he experienced a clear slip. His mechanics after that would be nothing comparable to how well he had performed in that period. This instantly condensed overpowered focus was the reason why Mofan could fight on par with a god for short bursts. This was almost like a skill of his that had a cooldown. After realizing this, Yi Shu also realized that this would probably become a characteristic of Mofan's style. His eventual style would probably also develop from this. Thus, Yi Shu stopped expecting Mofan to eventually get rid of his habit and instead helped him develop his talents, teaching him how to combine his skills to make sure he could endure throughout the battle. In the past, Mofan would run after getting what he wanted. After his barrage, he usually wouldn't have to fight any longer, and thus naturally didn't have to consider what skills to use after that. He would throw out whatever was convenient during his barrage. However, you couldn't fight that way in an actual match. The battle was far from over after a single barrage. It was unacceptable if he was sent into a panic at what to do after, or using 2 skills and being unable to follow up. Mofan had completed this transformation. When his barrage wasn't indiscriminatory, his battle ability was vastly increased. Now, on the field, his focused barrage could match Sun Shang strike for strike. However, it wasn't unexpected to Yi Shu that he still turned and ran after a few exchanges. At this point, his focus would scatter, and he definitely wasn't a match for Sun Shang then. However, not even Yi Shu expected it when, after retreating for only a brief moment, Mofan came back with another barrage. underground tunneling technique, annihilation, flame cut, neckbind, ninjutsu, flickering charge. Under the limit of Mo Fan's overpowered focus, not even Sun Shang could match this combo of 5 skills. But wasn't a little too close together with the previous barrage. In reality, Yishu wasn't sure how many times Mo Fan could gear himself up into that focus state. He also didn't know how long it would take to enter that state after a previous barrage. Yishu could only tell, by experience, that this sort of peak performance in short bursts was a sign that he was stretching his limits. That was why his focus would scatter after each barrage. It was a sign of mental strain. However, this time, Mo Fan had consecutively unleashed 2 barrages. How much strain was he putting on himself doing this? This kid is really pushing himself. Team Happy's members naturally all understood Mo Fan's characteristics. Seeing how he had unleashed a second barrage so soon, Wei Chen called out in surprise. How long can he last if he fights like this? Chao Yifan wondered aloud. Everyone fell silent. Mo Fan was still quite a loner. His style had matured, but no one knew how he would use it and where his limits were. His combo successful, Mo Fan once again had deception hide. How come he doesn't continue his offensive? Pan Lin couldn't really understand. Though his combo had ended there, it was perfectly feasible to strike fast and unleash a new barrage of attacks after this combo. He probably doesn't think he has a solid enough grasp of this opportunity. Li Yibo theorized. Mo Fan very rarely performs long combos. With his mechanics, I think he can definitely do better. I think he's a little too cautious. Pan Lin commented. Hey, this is probably because of his background. Li Yibo said. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. You mean, as a scrap picker? Pan Lin asked. Yes, the most important thing for scrap pickers is to secure their own safety. If they can't even keep themselves safe, then how would they scrap pick? Though, of course, Mo Fan is a pro player now, but he's been active in-game for a long time. Caution and care is probably a habit he's built up over all that time. Li Yibo replied. These words made sense, and Mo Fan did have this sort of habit from long-term scrap picking, but these two clearly hadn't noticed what was really going on with Mo Fan. You could say that apart from his teammates in Team Happy, no one knew that Mo Fan's style came with a cooldown. After all, Mo Fan didn't regularly appear in matches and hadn't played many compared to the rest of Happy. But in this match, against a strong opponent like Sun Shang, Mo Fan's potential seemed to have been forced to appear in its entirety. This was something no one expected. Since Sun Shang had finished his first opponent with a 72% health advantage, the Happy fans didn't dare to yell 10-0 anymore. Instead, the Samsara fans had gotten hyped, yelling 1 versus 3 and whatnot. 1 versus 3 was also something that held a rather terrible story for Happy. Samsara's fans yelling this was killing 2 birds with 1 stone, mockery amongst encouragement. However, after Mo Fan had managed to draw first blood like this, Samsara's fans shut up. They began to discuss how could this rookie be so strong? Everyone was struck dumb by Mo Fan's barrage, and even Sun Shang didn't dare underestimate his opponent. It was rare that someone would be able to match him in technique and mechanics like that. Thus, Sun Shang, looking for a trace of deception, was more cautious. He knew that this player had a terrifying amount of patience. This was a player who had waited so patiently that the referee had given him a red card. This was something only he could boast in the history of glory. Thinking of the red card last time, Sun Shang decided to just stop moving. You coming out, deception? You want another red card? However, was this Mo Fan still the Mo Fan of the past? Before, Mo Fan had just stayed there, unmoving, being seen as passive and unsportsmanly. However, the current Mo Fan might not be prepared to strike just yet, but he was rather active. He kept having deception repositioned himself, trying to find a chance to attack. It was unreliable. After checking it over, Deception left again. Boos rose from the crowd. Deception had gone in a circle and not found a good opportunity. That was when the referee struck, unexpectedly giving Sun Shang a yellow card. Sun Shang stared in shock. What the hell was this? In reality, Sun Shang didn't really understand the rule regarding passivity and sportsmanship well either. He didn't need to research something like that with his style. However, in the current situation, Sun Zhang's one autumn leaf was standing there, unmoving while Mo Fan's Deception was circling around, trying to find an opening. Sun Shang, who could now curb his temper and impatience, really had improved greatly. Last match, his self-control had won him a beautiful victory. It wasn't just Sun Shang who was shocked, Happy's members were also exchanging looks. The yellow card was a system message and Mo Fan, naturally, could see it. If it was Fang Rui, then he could probably use this to spout a good load of trash talk. However, Mo Fan probably spoke even less than Zhou Zikai.
Sun Shang, forced to move by the yellow card, could only have one autumn leaf start looking for Deception.
The group arena was also a 1v1, so the map wasn't too big. Deception also began to head towards the direction one autumn leaf was coming from. End chapter.
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1298. Keep Calm. Audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1298. Keep Calm. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The two characters approached each other little by little, and the match seemed to have turned into the scene seen in the last match. Everyone's hearts jumped into their chests as they waited for that moment to arrive. However, before any of the audience could react, the two characters suddenly accelerated. They found each other. Pan Lin yelled. The crowd could see the overall situation better than the participants with their omniscient view. However, to gain a deeper understanding of what was occurring, they would need to rely on the players' perspectives. The broadcast and the big screen had both replayed the shot just now from the two characters' perspective. In that moment, a figure flashed through the views of Deception in the ditches and one autumn leaf next to it, and neither of them missed it. Their characters charged and clashed. Boom. An explosion of purple smoke. They hadn't even engaged each other when Deception tossed a smoke bomb. Then, he darted out of the range of the smoke. Did he want to run? No. Darting out, then in. Mo Fan had Deception play this sort of trick with Sun Xiang, but was this enough to shake Sun Xiang? Shattering the lands. Sun Xiang responded in the most forceful way. In the purple smoke, he didn't know where Deception was, so he directly used a level 75 ultimate. Boom. Evil annihilation slammed into the ground and roaring magical energy buffeted the smoke, causing it to bubble like boiling water. Deception once again ran out of the purple smoke, his figure swaying a little. Clearly, he had been hit by the shockwaves made by this skill, his health having been reduced. Sun Xiang had broken right through Mo Fan's trick in the most brutal way. Dragon rises from the sea. Evil annihilation swung again and a wave of tide-like magical energy unfurled, breaking through the smoke. Through the break, Deception's figure was already exposed. Charge. Dragon breaks the ranks. One autumn leaf raised his spear and charged out of the smoke, arriving in front of Deception in the blink of an eye. Sun Xiang didn't hope that this skill would hit his opponent. He was just using it as a movement skill. Xing cut. Mo Fan once again overturned expectations, Deception advancing rather than retreating. With an assassin skill Xing cut, Deception's form flashed forwards, intending to slide right by Dragon breaks the ranks. Sun Xiang was shocked, hurriedly adjusting himself. Evil annihilation swerved, but it was too late. Deception had already flashed behind him. In that moment, the two characters seemed to have completed a switch, and just as they passed each other by, the two rapidly cancelled their skills, stopped, and turned. Dragon Tooth. As one autumn leaf turned, evil annihilation stabbed forward. A hit. But a puff of smoke rose. It was another shadow clone. Sun Xiang didn't hesitate. As one autumn leaf turned, he swept his spear out and executed a tyrant's destruction, reaching a full 270 degrees around. However, underground tunneling technique. Another underground tunneling technique, deception, darted out of the ground and, as one autumn leaf epically swept his spear across, hit the other's jaw in an uppercut. Ninjutsu, Cicada Shell Double Slash. Deception's follow-up came rapidly, executed in an unbreakable combo. Sun Xiang already knew it wasn't good when he was hit by the underground tunneling technique and had prepared himself. However, the follow-up was so fast, so precise. There was no opening at all. And then, Annihilation, Storm Shuriken, Ninjutsu, Shadow Dance. Again, the same 5-skill combo under Mo Fan's absolute focus had rendered Sun Xiang helpless. However, the last skill in the combo was the ultimate skill, Shadow Dance. This was a skill that could be manually controlled, and the mechanics required were far more demanding than other skills. For Mo Fan, whose limit was 5 skills, this skill would only be used in his 5-skill barrage if he planned to manually control it. The focus need for the mechanics for this skill was comparable to 2, 3, even 4 other skills. In a pro-level confrontation, Shadow Dance had to be manually controlled. The audience didn't know that Mo Fan had this sort of limit. They just thought it was a climax to the match, their applause thunderous. However, Happy's players knew that this choice of action meant that Mo Fan was challenging his limits. It wasn't just a small challenge either, but throwing himself directly in the deep end. That's too much of a stretch, Wei Chen commented. But with this skill, he can at least retreat completely, right? Fang Rui said. But he doesn't seem to have such an intention. Su Mucheng was the only one in Happy who really communicated with Mo Fan, though it was only very little. No, he doesn't. Watching the match, Ye Zhi could see that after the Shadow Dance, all 10 Shadow clones had lunged forwards to attack, not giving himself any escape route. By this point, his focus was at its limit. Could he still control this skill to the same high level? Bang! With a resounding noise, a Deception Shadow clone flew out of the pile of people. One autumn leaf, not even fully out of falling flower palm's pose yet, threw his evil annihilation forwards with his other hand, unleashing a fearsome magical energy. Rising Dragon soars the sky. The rapid follow-up of Rising Dragon soars the sky after falling flower palm didn't even wait for this deception to fly out much before catching up and clamping down. Magical energy striking and devouring everything in its path. The other Shadow clones were all turned to smoke one by one. Everyone knew that Sun Xiang offensive had struck the heart of Deception's Shadow Dance. It really was a bit of a stretch. Yishu sighed. Mo Fan wanted to surpass his limits, but the step he had chosen to take was too big. His focus scattered, his Shadow Dance wasn't executed flawlessly, revealing an opening that Sun Xiang immediately caught and used. The audience couldn't see the depth to this, only knowing that these two were exchanging blows. The battle was spectacular. The crowd went wild, and the commentators of the broadcast Pan Lin and Li Yibo were also going on about this unexpected performance from Mo Fan, how he was able to match Sun Xiang blow for blow. I hope so. Ye Zhi was a little concerned. Mo Fan had unleashed several barrages in succession, and continued to challenge his own limits. Wasn't he a little too excited? This seemed like he was losing control. Rising Dragon Soars the Sky had long ending lag, and it was hard to follow up on this. Sun Xiang could only wait until the skill ended and have one autumn leaf charge over to launch a new round of attacks. Before it was Mo Fan who was on the offensive, but now it looks like it's Sun Xiang's turn. One autumn leaf is advancing. How will Mo Fan deal with this? WuxRWorldAudio.com. Deception. Deception ran away. Pan Lin swallowed a curse. This Mo Fan's style was really quite depressing. Such a spectacular exchange, wasn't it thrilling going head-to-head? Sun Xiang had such a spectacular response to Mo Fan's offensive, so can't you just respond in kind and think of the audience a little? When the opponent countered, you immediately ran without any hesitation. Where's your courage to face Sun Xiang head-on? Where's your mechanics that can match him blow for blow? This Mo Fan is really keeping a clear head about him. He didn't let it get to his head, Li Yibo said. But in competition there's no need to adhere so strictly and monotonously to such an arrangement, right? Young people should be more passionate, more reckless. This kind of strict and mechanical playstyle is a little too boring. Pan Lin offered. Hey, what if this is interesting to him? Li Yibo simply said in reply. In that moment, he shone with his former identity as a pro player. Only those who had stood in the same shoes had the right to say these empathetic words. Interesting. What was interesting? The red-blooded excitement of head-on clashes, intense APM battles. That was just the definition to you viewers. To each pro player, their chosen playstyle was the most interesting to them. Maybe some will purposefully change their styles to appease the crowd, but this was a trend that had appeared only after Glory became commercialized. However, Li Yibo, from an older generation of players, rejected this sort of commercial air deep down. He liked to see players maintain their unique style, even if there was some his knowledge rather outdated, couldn't figure out. Li Yibo's lightly spoken words had Pan Lin rather stunned. He didn't know what to say in response. On the stage, Mo Fan's deception managed a smooth escape, using the gullies peppered across the map to conceal himself. He's got a pretty clear head. Fang Rui exclaimed. Yeah, he's nowhere near as reckless as you though. Su Mucheng said to Yishu. Stretching his limits and performance might be an attempt to confuse his opponent. This kid must have been secretly observing my performance and learning valuable lessons from me. Wei Chen decided. Shamelessness. Steamed Bun asked. Bastard, he learned that from your boss. Wei Chen cursed. Of course, boss is best at everything. Steamed Bun boasted. Ha, I won't object to that in this case. Wei Chen laughed out loud, satisfied with the follow-up attack Steamed Bun had given Yishu. Steamed Bun doesn't understand. Don't you go feigning ignorance. You're the most shameless. Yishu retorted. Don't be so humble. You're the best at everything. Wei Chen emphasized the word best. You. Mo Fan is still in the match and you're here talking nonsense. Chen Guo got angry and yelled at the two. Ayo, boss, relax, relax. Wei Chen hurriedly assured her. Mo Fan will be fine. Really? So long as he can keep this pace up? Yishu said. His opponent hasn't figured him out yet. Old Wei is right. By overstretching his limits, he's misled his opponent. His opponent will be having doubts about him, giving him a good chance. Mo Fan. Chen Guo didn't continue her train of thought. In reality, she had wanted to express surprise that Mo Fan could beat Sun Xiang, but then she realized that this would be a blow to the players on the team, so she held back. However, she was still shocked at Mo Fan's improvement. Could he win? Chen Guo gazed at the stage. Mo Fan didn't fail everyone's expectations. When Deception was at 14% health, one autumn leaf fell, and the surprised Chen Guo didn't voice was yelled out by Pan Lin. I never would have expected that Happy's Mo Fan could defeat Sun Xiang, Pan Lin cried out. The King's Avatar, Chapter 1299, Challenging His Limits. Audio source, wuxia-world-audiobook.com. Chapter 1299, Challenging His Limits. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Deception only had 14% health. Remering. One autumn leaf had started the fight with 72% health, yet those comparing the matchup on paper would still think Mo Fan would be less likely to win. Even so, Mo Fan won, and his victory astonished many. Because Sun Xiang truly was strong. He had sunk into the Challenger League for the season and ended up losing that to Happy, but the champion team Samsara still wanted him, showing a deep-rooted recognition of his skill. 2 seasons of failure hadn't affected people's evaluation of him. For such a player, despite starting the fight with only 72% health, most would favor him in a match against a rookie. His opponent Mo Fan was astonishingly valiant. He went equal with Su Xiang in multiple direct confrontations, which left a deep impression on the viewers. In the end, Sun Xiang unexpectedly lost the fight. Sun Xiang walked down slowly from the stage. In the past, if he lost against a rookie, he would feel ashamed and fly into a rage. However, the current him didn't have an expression of anger, although he obviously wasn't happy either. He raised his head, looking at the replay on the big screens. He pondered as he watched. Nice job. Quote. When he returned to Samsara's bench, his teammates welcomed him back. Losing to Mo Fan was a bit surprising, but if you looked at the outcome, Sun Xiang had nearly completed a 1v2. Mo Fan's Deception only had 14% health left. In the group arena, this sort of performance was splendid. That Mo Fan. Sun Xiang felt like he should have grasped something, but he was drawing a blank right now. We can slowly figure it out when we go back and review the match. Jiang Botao patted him. He could see that Sun Xiang seemed somewhat troubled by the match. Okay, it's finally my turn. Du Ming got up excitedly. He was a player who yearned for competition. Before Sun Xiang transferred to Samsara, he had appeared on stage very often. But when Sun Xiang joined, Sun Xiang took up a spot on the main roster, and Du Ming's position instantly fell. Saying that he wasn't sad about it would be false, but Sun Xiang's skill was truly there. His addition improved Samsara's strength even further. Du Ming couldn't ask the team to reject an upgrade, so he could only accept it. Du Ming had his own plans for his future, and he hoped for more opportunities on the stage. But he was still a part of Samsara, and his resolve in Samsara hadn't been shaken. Winning 3 championships in a row with his teammates of many years and then leaving for his own selfish fights would be the most beautiful outcome. As a result, even though his position was on the fringe, Du Ming worked even harder. No one in a championship team had weaklings. Du Ming had plans on leaving Samsara, but his pride and arrogance as a part of Samsara had not lessened. Good luck. His teammates yelled to Du Ming. Relax. Du Ming waved carefree to his teammates behind him like a cool person. Fuck, he's acting like he's our team's biggest trump card. Wu Chi cursed. Captain, I'm not the type of person to pick fights, but I wouldn't be able to bear it if I were you. Ha, Zhou Zekai chuckled. Du Ming walked onto the stage, into the player booth, and his character loaded into the map. Blade Master, Moon Luring Frost. Whoosh whoosh. As soon as he loaded into the map, Du Ming's Moon Luring Frost immediately drew his sword, displaying his impatience. Come. Quote. He shouted in the chat. Mo Fan obviously didn't respond and quietly ran over. Du Ming didn't move strategically either. After Moon luring Frost slashed his sword a few times, he headed straight for the center too. Like last round, the two characters practically saw each other at the same time. Into the ditches. No, this time, neither side went into the ditches. The two characters came across each other, and then after a short pause, they started fighting. Shuriken. Mo Fan's deception attacked first. This low-level flying tool posed no threat to Sun Xiang, and it was no different for Du Ming. Moon luring Frost raised his sword and swept it aside. Triple slash. Du Ming started his offense just as fast as Sun Xiang. Sun Xiang had used Dragon Breaks the Ranks, while he used Triple Slash. His momentum might not be as powerful as Dragon Breaks the Ranks, but it was more nimble. His sword led the way. Du Ming observed Mo Fan's reaction cautiously. He hadn't forgotten how fast Mo Fan had counted after Sun Xiang and him brushed past each other last match. Anyone who saw that scene couldn't help but pretend they were there, and feel their bodies drip with cold sweat at that reaction speed and mechanical skill. Du Ming had done the same and felt stunned. However, he still wanted to try it and see if he could do what others couldn't. First slash, second slash. The first and second slash of Triple Slash came out, and Moon luring Frost rapidly closed in. However, Deception didn't move. He didn't meet it directly with an Shin cut like last time. What is he planning? Du Ming muttered to himself. Triple Slash's third slash flew out both an attack and a movement towards Deception. At this moment, Du Ming lowered his head. Mo Fan's usage of underground tunneling technique had left a deep impression on him too. Du Ming didn't want to fall for this sort of trap. As soon as he lowered his head, he saw a glint of cold light from in front of him. Caltrops. When had he thrown these? Du Ming was startled. He immediately had Moon luring Frost's third slash switch directions. Moon luring Frost moved horizontally and dodged these caltrops. How dangerous! Du Ming yelled in his heart. Ninja tools, caltrops, a low-level skill. If an opponent stepped on it, it would harshly reduce the opponent's movement speed. And even though these caltrops were thrown onto the ground, they weren't easy to see. If Du Ming hadn't looked down because he was wary of underground tunneling technique, he would have certainly stepped onto the caltrops. You're quite cunning. Quote. With the change in direction from Triple Slash, he didn't step on the caltrops. Du Ming didn't distract himself despite the close call. His next move had already begun. Sword draw. Sword chi flew out. With this as a cover, Moon luring Frost leaped up, falling Phoenix Slash. He directly shot down from the sky, creating an arc in the air. Deception turned and ran. Hey, you bastard! Du Ming shouted. Against Sun Xiang, that punk had rushed forward and fought a few exchanges directly, but against him, he just ran away. What was that supposed to mean? I'm scarier than Sun Xiang. Du Ming didn't think so. He couldn't understand what Mo Fan was thinking. Looks like Mo Fan's tired. Happy's players saw through it. In the previous fight, he had played explosively multiple times and played to his limit. Those were just the two plays at the beginning too. Afterwards, in order to win against Sun Xiang, Mo Fan had fought even harder at his limits. He had beaten Sun Xiang, but those who didn't understand him wouldn't know how hard he had worked for that win. Now, against Du Ming, he didn't fight like he had with Sun Xiang. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but he couldn't. His energy didn't let him reach the crazy concentrated state. This punk, with that in him, we should put him in the individual competition more. Wei Chen said. Just when they were commenting on him, Mo Fan suddenly erupted. WushOurWorldAudio.com. Combo. Another invincible combo. Except this time, the first sneak hadn't been executed too well, and Du Ming was able to respond. However, Mo Fan didn't let up the second, third attack. He attacked as if he were comboing, and then finally on the fourth strike, he was able to break Du Ming's defenses. Annihilation. For the fifth strike, Deception actually used Annihilation. This low-level knock-up skill was never a finishing move for a combo. This could only mean that Mo Fan had no plans on stopping his combo. Is he crazy? Wei Chen yelled out in amazement. They thought Mo Fan was tired already, but he once again showed up with his 3 axes. On the fifth strike, which should have been the limit, he didn't stop but continued. Flame cut. A blaze followed along the blade's path. Following Annihilation, this attack struck Moon Luring Frost. The sixth strike was linked very precisely as well. Then, Underground Tunneling Technique. Deception sprinted forward, but too slow. Yi Zhu said. Yes, the seventh strike was too slow. After being set ablaze by Flame Cut, Moon Luring Frost made a move. Falling Blossom Form. It was faster than Deception's Underground Tunneling Technique. The sword point stabbed into Deception's back, and blood spurted out. Deception crashed to the ground. The damage dealt by the Blade Master's 4 level 75 skills weren't too terrifying, but the other areas were increased further. A Force Knockdown, Falling Blossom Form. Maxed Attack Speed, Meteor Form. High Priority, Piercing Wind Form. Sword Chi that can pull the target, Curving Wind Form. Falling Blossom Form just looked like a careless attack, but Deception had been knocked to the ground. Falling Light Blade. Moon Luring Frost attacked again from the air towards Deception. This combo was fast and without any openings. Deception, who had just crashed to the ground, could do nothing. But afterwards, Deception rolled up and tried to dodge Feather Scar's control. Lunge. Sword Light chased after Deception. Pooh. Deception puffed into smoke, turning into a straw man. Fuck. Du Ming cursed angrily. Ninjas had more escape skills than other classes. What was usually a combo would be easily dispelled in front of ninjas. Du Ming had Moon Luring Frost turn around in search of Deception's whereabouts. The earth underneath him loosened. Underground Tunneling Technique. At the crucial moment, an opening appeared on Du Ming. Just like how Underground Tunneling Technique had struck one autumn leaf, it struck Moon Luring Frost squarely. A combo once again began. Everyone in Happy was dumbfounded. He's purposely attacking his own limits. Yi Zhu could see it. Confuse the opponent. They had overanalyzed it. Mo Fan had been challenging his own limits the entire time. End chapter.